Hey guys, welcome to the Sovereign Game Power. Not sure if you know this, but the full book is out on Amazon, including the new book, Sovereign Game Opportunity. The Sovereign Game. Opportunity is your playbook for turning ambition into action. It teaches you how to sell yourself, your ideas, and your brand in any room, to any person, at any level. From mastering persuasion and creating urgency to building momentum and closing deals, this book reveals the mindset and methods used by those who rise fast and stay ahead. Sharp, tactical, and unapologetically practical, this is not about luck. It's about leverage, timing, and knowing how to open doors that others can't even find. Step into the game. Create your own chance. Now let's get into the Sovereign Game Power Chapter 10, Own the Gate. Control who gets in and who doesn't. Interpretation. To own the gate is to seize control of access, and through access, control the story, the pace, and the power dynamic. It's not about brute strength or flashy visibility. It's about being the one who decides who gets a voice, who gains visibility, and who reaches the inner sanctum. Think of a gate not as a blockade, but as a lens. Whoever controls the lens decides how the world is seen. This applies to every level of life. The person who filters the meeting agenda has more control than the one giving the speech. The one who curates the playlist controls the room's energy. The editor has more power than the writer. Owning the gate is about shaping outcomes by becoming essential to the process. This is a quiet power, and that's what makes it lethal. Because when you are the gatekeeper, people often don't notice you're the one pulling the strings. As Churchill once said, "The empires of the future are the empires of the mind." When you own the gate to that empire, you don't need to fight for dominance. You define what dominance even means. Historical example. Winston Churchill and the verbal guillotine. Winston Churchill didn't merely speak, he eviscerated. In the heat of World War II, as Britain trembled and Parliament bickered, Churchill's speeches cut like razors through confusion and cowardice. He didn't just lead the nation through rhetoric, he defined who would be heard. He wasn't always right, but he was always loud, precise, and impossible to ignore. In debates, he destroyed reputations with a single line. His words weren't bridges, they were checkpoints. You either passed through or you got flattened. One opponent quipped, "Churchill, you are drunk." Churchill fired back, "Yes, and you are ugly, but tomorrow I shall be sober." He owned the gate of dialogue. The media echoed his tone. Parliament adapted to his style. Even Roosevelt and Stalin waited for his framing before moving. The empires of the future are the empires of the mind. Winston Churchill. Owning the gate doesn't mean owning the throne. It means owning the path to it. Modern example. The clown with teeth strategy. In today's world of corporate influence and pop culture, many public figures use humor to mask power. But the smartest among them, those who adopt the clown with teeth strategy, understand that when people laugh, they lower their guard. Take comedian turned commentator Jon Stewart. Through satire, he became a primary news source for a generation. His interviews influenced elections, exposed hypocrisy, and often forced traditional media to respond. But beneath the laughs were blades. Stewart's brilliance lay in his positioning. He wasn't the president, but millions wouldn't trust the president without first hearing from him. Candidates feared his critique. CEOs adjusted narratives based on his framing. And because he played the fool, he got away with sharper truths than the serious gatekeepers. If you don't stick to your values when they're being tested, they're not values. They're hobbies. Jon Stewart. Humor was the disguise. Access was the weapon. Power was in the pause before everyone asked, "What did he say about this?" Folktale. The Fool Who Ruled the Court. Europe, 1500s. In the court of a vain and paranoid king lived a jester named Oldo. He juggled, danced, and insulted nobles in rhyme. Everyone laughed, but no one realized how much he controlled. The king trusted no one, except Aldo. In a realm of spies and traitors, Aldo's mockery felt safe. When ministers presented plans, Aldo's commentary shaped whether they lived or died. He would make fun of poor strategies, pretend to misunderstand corrupt deals, and whisper truths inside jokes. Eventually, no noble dared present a plan without first vetting it through Aldo's humor. He became the unseen filter, the smiling gatekeeper. One day a foreign general asked the king, "Who advises you?" The king replied, "No one. I only listen to the one who makes me laugh, because he is the only one with nothing to gain." Aldo never wore a crown, but he owned the court. Tactical placement. Power flows through access. So position yourself at the point of entry, whether literal, social, or informational. In conversations, be the person who introduces others. In business, control the data others need. In influence, become the curator others quote. Gatekeeping doesn't mean denying access. It means managing it. Sometimes that means standing at the door and deciding who walks in. Other times it means controlling what stories get shared, which language gets repeated, and what becomes acceptable. Start small. Own the introductions in group settings. Speak last in meetings to hold final judgment. Curate the narrative on a team, in a classroom, or within a friend group. Become the person others route through to get approval, clarity, or exposure. When you hold the gate, you become part of the route others must take to get where they're going. They may not notice it at first, but eventually they realize that nothing moves without you. The best gatekeepers embed themselves so seamlessly into the system that removing them feels like pulling the spine from the body. Apply this in leadership. Be the person others go to for clarity. Don't speak first, but be the one they defer to when the room gets stuck. Friendship and relationships. Set emotional tone. Frame conflicts. Shape how others interpret what happened, not just what happened. Career. Position yourself as the bridge between teams, clients, or platforms. When people rely on you for introductions or insight, your value multiplies. Influence. Moderate the form, not just post in it. Be the editor, not just the writer. Reversal. Gatekeeping can become gate blocking. If you guard too tightly, people find ways around you. If your control becomes obvious, it invites resistance. No one likes to feel fenced in. And in some moments, surrendering the gate can be a strategic play. Letting someone else take credit, appear to lead, or feel in control while you manage the flow quietly behind the curtain, that's still power. Silence can gatekeep. Distraction can redirect. You don't always need to slam the door. Sometimes just leaning against the frame is enough. Power principles. Control access, and you control influence. The gatekeeper doesn't need the crown to rule. Subtle framing is stronger than brute command. Humor, clarity, and positioning are silent weapons. Power flows through the person others must pass. Closing thoughts. Owning the gate is about more than denying entry. It's about making others recognize that their next step goes through you. Whether through wit, wisdom, or quiet positioning, gatekeepers define the structure of influence. In war, the fortress gate was the point of defense. In life, the social gate is the point of control. It doesn't matter how impressive the army is. If you own the pass, you command the outcome. If you control the access, you control the opportunity. Naval Ravikant. The modern world is a battlefield of access. Who gets the spotlight? Who gets the funding? Who gets heard? In this noisy arena, the person who owns the gate doesn't just choose who enters. They shape what matters. They are not merely managers of flow. They are sculptors of narrative. Be the filter. Be the voice others wait to hear. Be the jester who laughs last. Become the door they don't know they've already passed through. When others must come through you, you don't chase power. You become it.